Every now and again, you come across a news story that just renews your faith in humanity. Today, that story comes from Twitter, a site usually known for hurt feelings, yelling at people, and broken dreams. Hell must have frozen over. Hey folks, Mark from the Rational Workforce, and I just wanted to share a story with you today that, just kind of a feel-good story. There's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of messed up stuff that's going on in the world right now, and, it's just nice every now and again to just see people doing cool things to help other people out. And today's example is actually from a couple weeks ago. It was a trending Twitter topic that I actually somehow missed. I was just really busy and I missed this, and I'm catching back up on it. It's really refreshing. So we've all had these times in our career when we've made mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And, sometimes those mistakes are more visible than others, particularly currently with digital marketing. You push one button and millions of people can see things. So this actually came from, let me bring it up. This actually came from an intern who was working for HBO. And apparently this person was working on an email campaign and accidentally sent out a test. And you can see HBO Max responded on Twitter saying, "We mistakenly sent out an empty test email to a portion of our HBO Max mailing list this evening. We apologize for the inconvenience, and as the jokes pile in, yes, it was the intern, and no, really, we're helping them through it," with a heart emoji. And that's awesome. Managers, if you're bumping into, or if you have employees who work for you, or even coworkers who make a mistake, they're not screwing around, they're not, playing it fast and wide with the rules. They're just trying to do their job and they make an honest mistake. This is a great example of how you react to it, and as a brand, how you react to it. Now, HBO Max, huge juggernaut brand. And, clearly this is something that, is not emblematic of the type of quality they want to put out there, even in their marketing. But mistakes happen. And the fact that HBO Max had this response, which was wonderful, what was even cooler was the way other professionals stepped up on Twitter and shared their own personal mistakes that they made, and that they went on to continue to thrive after that. So I've highlighted a couple of them here I want to share with you, and they're just they're hysterical, and I promise I'll share my own career embarrassment moment. Oh God, I've had many. Probably a lot today. But anyway, let's take a look. Dear intern, comes from Twitter user Nitty4. Dear intern, for years I used a CV without changing the interest section, where it said volunteering in Kampala, Uganda, where I disabled and orphaned children. It wasn't until I was in an interview and was asked about it that I realized I left out the word taught. All right, here's another one. This one is from Susan Lovett. Dear intern, as a young lawyer, I proofread a legal brief and filed it with the court. I caught a typo and blindly used the global find and replace function. Pro tip, don't do that. My brief argued for the rights of the panties, not the parties. All 50 pages of it. Unbelievable. And again, we've all done stuff like this. So when we laugh at it, we're not laughing at somebody. It's a cliche, but you're not laughing at them, you're laughing with them, because we've all gone through stuff like this. Here's another one. Stacy Kellogg. Dear intern, as a public relations executive at a healthcare system, I once sent an email to dozens of community VIPs about an upcoming program in the county. In the subject line, I left the O out of the word county and went on to be promoted twice. You got this. Awesome, right? So here's an example of a potentially really embarrassing mistake. And then Stacy here just went on to grow and thrive in the career. And the last one is from my beloved Dunkin' Donuts. And they got into it from the brand level, not even from an individual person level. Dear intern, I posted Coke Brew instead of Cold Brew on National Cold Brew Day, 420, 3 times. So cool. Good for you, Duncan, for sharing that out there. And if you go, hit Twitter, run a search on the hashtag Dear Intern, and you'll see a whole bunch of these. And again, it was from a few weeks ago, so I'm a little late to the party on it. But I wanted to bring it to your attention in case you missed it, because it's really good stuff. And when I was young, I wasn't even an intern, but it was, a few years on in my career, I was working for a big global multinational company, and part of my role in the marketing department was supporting all these different teams around the world. And there was this one individual that must have emailed me 3 or 4 times within the span of a day asking for, I think it was a piece of collateral that needed to have a tweak done to it for their geography or something like that. And I was working with the designer and getting the piece done. I was writing the copy. And I wanted to forward the email to her and just said, hey, can we please prioritize this? I just need to get this guy off my ass. Only I didn't forward. I replied to all, which included one of my managers. The person was upset, but ultimately gracious about my calling him a pain in the ass. But did I learn a lot of lessons during that particular incident. One is never refer to anyone that way, in writing or otherwise that's a colleague. It was just stupid on my part. It was frustrating. It was a long day. There was a lot going on. It's never an excuse to act unprofessionally. So that was an awesome lesson to learn there. But that was early on in my career. I went on to be senior manager. I've been CMO a few times. I've got my own business now. So you can survive these things. You've got to learn from them, but you can survive them ultimately. And, the thing is that sometimes you make mistakes, and that just plants a seed that makes you afraid of trying to do new things, or even things that you've done a million times can slow you down to the point where you get overly cautious and you think about it too much. And that's a challenge as well. But so much of how those mistakes and those events can shape a person really comes down to the managers and the peers that you're working with, right? So in the case of HBO, clearly very supportive of this individual, and that's wonderful. If you're a manager, that's how you want to play it. Imagine if, they handled it a different way. If they fired the intern, if they stripped responsibilities away from the intern, if they belittled them in some way, you are setting up a potential roadblock for the rest of that individual's career if you respond to it the wrong way. So, as managers and as leaders, we really have to understand that we have a massive responsibility, not just to our shareholders and customers and all of the typical stuff, but perhaps more importantly, the people that report into us, because there are these pivotal, formative moments that are going to come up in the world of work where you have a decision to make and how you handle it. And you always want to be that person, even if bad things happen, even if, the individual is kind of goofing around. You really want to be that person that turns it into a learning moment versus, something that's just berating. And even if you have to terminate employees, as a leader, we've all had to do that sometimes. Doing it in such a way so they understand why can provide the building blocks for learning from it and moving on to a better station in their career. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you enjoy that hashtag and be kind out there. So thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one, folks. Take care. Bye.